Hello, everyone. Woohoo! Welcome to Upfront in the Prophetic, where we explore. we explore. I'm so excited about this. We explore the issues others will not talk about or even touch. So I'm excited today because we're going to tap into a topic that affects every American, and that's your federal income tax. Yep, I'm going there. You better believe it. For decades, actually, Americans have been told that the federal income tax is unavoidable. It's an obligation tied to the citizenship of employment. Oh my gosh, what a lie. And we're going to tap into that, guys. The longer you just be a part of this whole broadcast, and we're going to do a series about this because you really need to know to find out that, honestly, the whole court system, everything has been run by British law. Okay. So we're going to tap into those areas so that you truly understand the legal definitions surrounding taxation. Okay. Which they've been so misunderstood. And so we'll tap into that. So tonight or today, well, it's tonight in some areas, but we're going to be asking those serious questions to a man of God that is really paving the way for we the people, setting us free. And you know what the Bible says, that he came to set us free from the deceptions, from the evil of this world. And so a lot of times people perish for a lack of knowledge. So we want to give you that knowledge so that you can be set free from the deception of what's really been going on for decades. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you, hey, Kurt, it is such a blessing to have you with us. Kurt is with Unincorporated Associations, actually the founder of this association. So thank you for being with us today. We so appreciate you.
I'm so excited to be here. We got a fresh new group of audience here of yours, and we can't wait to unpeel the onion, so to speak, of the lies, of the deception. And I'm excited to get to the core of the truth, because the core of the truth is just ridiculous how they've captured an entire nation through misunderstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one word I like to put out there is, do you understand? And understand means when the government, you're standing under them. Okay. So words mean everything. It means everything. So let's dive in, Kurt. Many Americans believe that paying federal income tax is simply automatic. And from your research, though, where did this belief actually originate from?
Well, it definitely originated in 1913. I don't know if anybody is aware. Many people aren't. Even accountants aren't aware of the underlying authority that the IRS has. The first place they go to, where do they go? Where do people go to look at the codes or the statutes?
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
The IRS manual. They go to the IRS manual. And
Right.
yet the IRS came into being in 1913 from a 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment is the federal income tax. Now, we should make this straight and clear, because the first time somebody hears this, they might go, "Oh, that's one of those sovereign citizen things," or
Right.
"I can't believe it. Are they saying that it's illegal? It's anti-American. He's not paying taxes." First and foremost, we are the first to tell you there is a tax that did come into play in 1913, and it is a federal income tax. And the IRS has some jurisdiction. On the next show, I think we've outlined it. It's going to be titled, the show will be, I think, Francine, we agreed to it. The second show will be the extremely limited jurisdiction of the IRS. So we are not anti-tax. There is a tax that does exist, and it only applies to a tiny amount of people. If you work for the federal government, that's who the tax is designed for. And that's exactly what took place in 1909 when the bill started to gain steam and through Congress. We'll talk about that later in one of the shows of the conspiracy that took place in 1913. But when you know the truth and the history of this and how they've deceived us all. To answer your question, it began in 1913, and they started a mechanism of the way they print money from the Federal Reserve Act that was authorized the same year. It was put into law that they gave our money supply. We don't print our own money anymore. Imagine that. A country not printing their own money. It's printed by the Rothschilds, the Rockefeller family. J.P. Morgan was part of that meeting that put this scheme together called the Federal Reserve. There was a Warburg family and Vanderbilt family involved, and they hijacked our currency in the same year the federal income tax was passed in 1913 to give a deception of that there's a tax that they need to collect from the people. And lo and behold, I would say the first catalyst was World War I, which was right on the heels of the 1913. And that made the poor government needing money. You had to be a taxpayer because we have to fund our World War I that just came on the scenes. And shortly after that, they started expanding a national debt, which is how high is it these days?
Oh, yeah.
So the lie was the war, and the lie continues to be the national debt. That's what politicians are talking about. Whenever you hear that, that's a lie. That's an engineered economic phenomena of the way they created their own funny money system of printing their own money, not ours. The Federal Reserve prints it, and they print it from nothing, by the way, from absolutely thin air, and they drive our government deeper, deeper into debt. And they want you to believe to be a good taxpayer, you got to pay down that darn national debt.
When in fact, we have the Somalians and everybody else, right? We're paying for their crimes and so forth, So I want that to really penetrate the minds of those that are listening right now. Is that, from trafficking to the Somalians to so many other things that my mind just is blown. And I had to have you on here because, you even look at the roads. Oh, yeah, you're paying for the roads. No, we're not.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah. You mean you're talking about road and gas tax? That's what that's what funds the infrastructure and the road. Does people know? Do you know? We don't see it. When you pump gas into your car, there's a hidden tax there that pays for your roads. And then they go, well, what about the fire and fire department and the police department? Oh, you're talking about sales tax. Right. What about parks and recreation? Sales tax. What about schools? Oh, that's property tax. We are so misunderstood, and this is going to be one of our topics, not today, but we want to hone in on how they created a separate jurisdiction called the District of Columbia. There's a reason why it's not a state like the rest of us, because those that understand a republic means it's a government formed by and for the people, governed at the local level, and the local level tells the small, tiny national government how they are governing themselves, but they are not to intervene in the affairs of each republic state. We don't give allegiance, especially the emotional allegiance that we get sucked into what's going on in Washington, D.C. It matters not, because that 10 square mile area has nothing to do with our republic that we have.
Yeah, that's so good. And some of the things that you just mentioned previously in regards to the Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan, and so forth. When you say those things, what comes to mind is the Creature of Jekyll Island. Another thing that comes to mind is the Titanic, and how they, had these gentlemen that were against the Federal Reserve and what they were going to do to we the people. And yet, they're on this boat, this ship, and boom, evidently it just sinks, and it's supposed to be one of the best ships out there. I mean, the corruption is just, my gosh, if people would just, instead of like la, just do the research. And that's why we're here today to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is very good. Not very many people understand the connection between the Titanic and the next year. That happened in, by the way, there's a nugget for you regarding the Titanic. I got a question for you, Francine, real quick. But not many people know in 1912 that set them free to then pass the Federal Reserve Act, because those three wealthy men, very wealthy, They were vehemently opposing the Federal Reserve Act because they knew it was going to give the money to the banking families, the elite. And so that going down, do you know the date and time that the Titanic went down?
Ooh, no, I
This
do
is
not
so
remember.
relevant to our topic.
Okay.
I think it's going to blow your mind.
All right.
It
Well,
went
okay.
down.
So was it like 3 o'clock or something?
It sank at 2 a.m. on April 15th. April
Wow.
15th. Does that ring a bell?
Oh
April
yeah,
15th.
that's payday for taxes. Come on now.
So you know what they did? So did you ever wonder, like, okay, we're going to be filing our 2025 because this is being broadcast on March 5th, 2026 now. We're going to file our 2025 tax return, they're calling it, contract, on April 15th, 4.5 months later. Why not January 15th,
Right.
January 31st?
Right.
Let's just say
beginning of the
February
year,
1st.
right? Yeah.
No. They mock us. Now I have a teaching on this. It's module 3 on our website. There's a 6-part. If anybody wants to learn about this, you go to our website. We have a 6-part learning series. It's module 3. It's the conspiracy of the 16th Amendment. I show you all the hidden meanings behind on the dollar bill, on the Titanic, how they mock us, and they memorialize the very event that captured the ability to take our money supply, and they have us marching like, I must file my taxes on the date that set them free on April 15th.
Wow. Oh my gosh, what a deception. And so many of us have just, taken that in. So many. And again, that's why you're here today, just to set the people free. You often talk about the definitions in, in law and so forth. And so what are some of the key words that, they use in the tax code that people misunderstand?
Well, how about the biggest one? United States.
Mm.
Do you live in the United States? Now, if you ask that question, and now you'd have to, people need to know the context, okay, before they could properly answer it. I would say 99.9% of Americans, when asked specifically, according to tax language, do you live in the United States? And yes. And what is your license guy? The guys with the licenses, they're actually the problem with misunderstanding this term, because of course, that's why I'm here. I got a license. And you live in the United States, you owe taxes, and that's my job to help you do that contract, right? Well, guess what? Their definition, United States, is the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit deceptive.
Yeah, it is.
Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes, I am. I'm proud to be one. Well, guess what? You live in Washington, D.C. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it is. Mm.
And we can keep going on. I think we do have an episode that we're going to talk about all this deception of the twisting of words.
Right. Yes.
So maybe in the series, we'll actually drill down more on some of these terms.
Sure.
But right now, we really want to discuss the deception and what they can do about it. People can do something about it. I think that's one of our biggest compliments for the audience that's unaware, which probably everybody. And I should tell my story a little bit.
Yes, please do. I should have started that off, but I was just so excited to start unpacking this. So please do.
Yeah. So, it's culminated to now. I know how important it is to be a teacher of these things and also a community. You see, the devil's the author of lies and confusion, and he is very effective when he isolates people. Because even if you think you're onto the truth, because it's scary, you know what? So many people stop short of following through. Plus, they don't have any remedy. And they go, I've known this for years. I just didn't know the solution. And we have the very simple solution to exit the tax game. I call it a game. And we teach these things Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 6 days a week. We have a 2-hour question and answer session. Our last session today ended about an hour ago, and we go for 2 hours. If you can come in any day, I promise, if you just come a few days, there's no way to not come out going, yeah, this is simple. It's a scam that we've all been deceived on. And that's my story. Okay. Back into my story. I actually call him. like spiritual people didn't like this term. I called it a zombie ministry. We're not giving credit to ghoulish things. Okay. I'm using a term that people know a zombie is kind of like they're lifeless, right? And the
Sure.
reason why I call this a zombie ministry is I looked at my own life looking back. My goodness, I was clocked out with taxation. I didn't know any better. My parents didn't teach me anything. I just did what everybody else does, right? You get the job and they take money out of your check, and then that's just what you do. I'm going to get some money back. And then it turns into, as a youngster, your earning power isn't very big. So you get some money back and they took money out of your check. Your career grows, your earning power grows. And now you find yourself, gosh, I got to pay taxes. And you just been doing it. Turn it over to the tax guy, the receipts, and you've been collecting all year. A zombie, clocked out. So I feel like, wow, and the Bible calls the equivalent, I guess if there is one, Ephesians 2 says that at one time you were dead in your sins and trespasses, but now you've been made alive through Christ Jesus. The Spirit of God has made you alive. And you're like, you aren't a quote unquote zombie to your old life anymore. You're not supposed to be. You've been born again, renewed, a new creation. In the same way, I go back, I'm going to go wake up my old zombie friends, right? My family members, right? And the best way to do that we're finding so much power, the Spirit of God is in this ministry because we're a community. We're in all corners of the United States coming into these meetings. People are growing and understanding. Everybody's having victory. And I mean everybody. We're 1,000% with thousands of people over the last 4 years. Everybody exits the system the same way. It's really simple. Now, again, back to my story. In 2009, I find myself in San Diego, California. That's where I'm at now. I had moved here 10 years earlier. What brought me here was I met a partner in Southern California. We set a transportation company up in 1999. Our first year, we did $6 million in sales. I just was gifted in sales and ability, and my background. I got a degree at Iowa State University with a transportation degree. It just led me into this field. And for 5 years, I worked in Omaha, Nebraska, and at the world's largest transportation brokerage. So here we are, brand new, California. Everything is new. I met Jesus through that process too in the same year. Everything was new. New business, new relationship with God. I finally had purpose. And reading the Bible, you know what that means. I mean, I don't know, Francine, were you born a Christian, or at one point did the Spirit of God enter you?
Yes, he entered me, all right.
And everything was so exciting. So I just took off with my sales and everything. But yet, as it relates to taxes, I didn't question it. You don't question something that you don't know you need to. You just doing what everybody does. And then in the mortgage crisis, remember the 2008, 2009, the crisis that was now we know is engineered. I didn't know that either. But I was making good money enough I was okay. But I had an older friend from church. He was losing his property. And so I'm on the internet trying to find some answers. And I said, Ken, there's this interesting guy. He's teaching some things I don't know much about. I said, I think we need to be in Baltimore, Maryland next weekend. I bought him a flight. We flew to Baltimore. I'm like, what? And within an hour or two, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm finding out how money works, how banking works, how credit works, what happened. Eventually, I found out in 1913, and then taxation. I walked out after 3 days going, I don't owe that tax. I know that that's true. And Jesus, the name we all been taught, Yeshua, or Yahushua, different ways to say that. But Jesus that I knew at the time, he's the truth. I know that he's with me, and I know that that's a lie. I'll eventually figure this out. And walked into darkness. Now, one of the quotes that I tell my community that people go through, the devil speaks loudest when you're isolated. Oh, and that's why as we grow as a group and people see testimony for testimony, people coming on, I dropped my ROE today. I got my letter from the IRS today. And, we're like giving them party for it. They realize, wow, everybody's doing this. It's okay. It's not anything at all to be afraid of because you actually have all the power. And that's what we're going to get into. You have all the power, but you forfeit that when you sign that contract on April 15th. You forfeit all your rights. You're submitting to a jurisdiction you have no business being in, which is District of Columbia again. Right. I discovered these things in 2009, walked out of that meeting. I vowed to never. I'm never paying them another dollar. See, jail didn't matter. Their fear was not driving me. I always say that we all have some kind of fear, Fear was allowing me to move faster than the fear. It wasn't in front of me, paralyzing me, but I was, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I found what's called the title of the website, and what we founded is called Unincorporated Associations. One of the first things I discovered was an entity. Believe it or not, there's a legal entity you can form that has zero tax liability. It never files a tax return. It's like a black hole. It can receive 1099s. It can receive K1s. You can invest in cryptocurrency, stock trading, whatever, and it will never file a tax return. It is unincorporated, which means it's not incorporated by the laws of the District of Columbia. Discovered that at the end of 2009. But that wasn't it, because I kind of cut and ran with my old tax liability. You know, I didn't file the 29. I didn't mess with 2008. And what thing I teach people is, if you ever get a letter from the IRS, what's happening is, because you're in a private arrangement, a contractual arrangement that you voluntarily entered in, just like I had, I did the worst thing you could do. And I went, threw the letters away for 8 years, kept throwing them away. That did not stop them, because what ends up happening, if you don't know what's happening, is a private trust arrangement has occurred where you forfeited your rights to being the beneficiary of that trust. When you were born, your parents signed a birth certificate contract, and that allowed the Social Security Administration to form a trust. And you are supposed to be the beneficiary. You gave those rights away when you signed over your first contract, and you gave them the spoils of that trust. They're now the beneficiary. And yet the tax itself, which we haven't covered yet, that I'm sure we'll cover that in our series, it only belongs to those that work for the federal government, unless you enter into a private arrangement. And yet that's the mistake I was making for 8 years. I kept throwing the letters away. They never kept going away. However, you see, they saw the business, the successful business. They saw the $3 million house. They saw my assets, which had already been moved out of my Social Security number into associations. They couldn't collect anything, but they smelled blood as a debt collector. They're not going to give up. They might be able to find some money somewhere. They couldn't. But that didn't mean they didn't go away, until I found the hammer that literally cut their jurisdiction from them, which is a document called a revocation of election. And maybe we'll devote more time on that. But for the sake of my testimony, I found this in 2018, 19-ish. And I marched right into the IRS debt collector's office. And I said, look, I'm going to have grace on you. You don't understand probably this document. Give it to your supervisors. And this is their own codes. This is their own statutes.
You use it against them.
It's their own codes. It's their own process. When you wake up and understand that they're waiting for you to basically unvolunteer yourself out of the system. That's how dumb this is. That's how dumb it is.
Well, one of my friends had this question. They actually filled out that documentation, but then out of fear, stepped right back in again. So what do they do in that case?
Well, they can refile it a second time. You're not supposed to go back into their jurisdiction after you left. But lo and behold, they already had the answer then. They already were on their way out. They are already out. But when you consecrate that contract with your signature, you're now back into a private relationship with them again.
Until you go ahead and revoke it again. And hopefully, Jim, when you're listening.
And you stick with your fortitude on that. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
So obviously the devil tricked that guy, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I believe many others too, because of that fear. You know, it's false evidence appearing real, right, Kurt?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that happens a lot. So basically, let me ask you this. So the key is that many people are voluntarily in compliance by signing that contract, and actually they're submitting themselves to the system, when in fact they're not realizing that that is a jurisdiction that they're not even a part of.
And they didn't understand that. Now, I we have a marketing campaign to try to make people think. And the campaign is like this. We'll give you a $10,000 reward, okay? If
Okay.
you can find anybody you know, anybody. It could be your family member, friend, neighbor. It could be, you could go to a concert hall and announce it over the speaker. Anybody in this audience that has never filed a tax return, let's say over the age of 25, you don't know anybody. I already know this. Nobody knows anybody. Because the first thing people think, that's just too good to be true.
Right.
You don't owe taxes? You know why? Because even the tax guy, the guy that got his license, before he knew he was going to be a tax guy, he was 16 at Burger King at one time. And he went ahead, had money taken out his check, didn't know he should have said he's exempt because it didn't apply to him. He didn't even know what that meant. Nobody thought, even the employer put it from, just file, just send me this document. And you're agreeing to allow them to withhold money, which nets the result is at the end of the year, you file your first contract. Boom. And that was the day you entered their jurisdiction when you were 16. I have two daughters, 19 and 23. They've had jobs since 16. My son is 17. He hasn't had a job yet, but he knows better. They've been taught, they've been given a 5-second lesson. Son, daughter, never, ever sign a tax contract with the IRS and take all your money, claim exempt because you are, and you'll never go in their jurisdiction. My daughters are going to be 30 years old, 40 years old, 50, 60. They'll never have heard from the IRS their whole life. They've never paid $1 in taxes simply because they didn't volunteer their way in like everybody else has.
Wow. Wow. You know, and it's a shame that they don't, of course, teach this in school like many other things.
They did. Right? Think of the mammoth. Okay, like Big Pharma. Yes. Can you imagine? It's too bad doctors aren't taught these things. And then they just say, hey, stop eating the candy bars. Stop, put the sodas down, drink some alkaline water, and let's get you some healthy plant remedies. No, Big Pharma is there to say, we're going to give you a license. And you're going to say, boy, this looks bad. Here's a prescription here we're going to give you. It's the same thing. Could you imagine they teach this in schools? Hey, guys, this is easy, actually. You don't work for the military. You never pay taxes. Guess what happens? H&R Block closes. No TurboTax. No TurboTax commercials. QuickBooks, you don't need that no more. The tax industry, the CPAs, the attorneys would literally have to find another job.
Right.
It would collapse a massive profession.
Yes, absolutely.
We teaching that.
Oh my gosh. I know, right? Well, I'll tell you what, what's so exciting, Kurt, is that just, looking on True Social, X and TikTok, so many are talking about right now, we are not paying our taxes. We finally understand. I mean, are you seeing it too?
I am, but I didn't finish that one point of saying what I'm hearing a lot, even through our reviews. We're now over 200 5-star reviews, and it's life-changing reviews. What a lot of them say is, I kind of knew this, I just didn't have the remedy. Right. I just didn't have the remedy. So somebody that knows is still a little bit stuck because technically they're still under their jurisdiction. They have to break that contract. They have to.
Yeah, there's a process.
It isn't like, look, there are people like, and we've met people like, I haven't filed in 5 years. I say, praise God. That's awesome. Yeah, but I threw away all the letters they've been sending me. Oh, that's a problem. Okay, we better go address those, right?
Right.
And so it doesn't get you out of it necessarily until you break that contract. Now, some people, fortunately, they've been off the radar. Been 3-4 years. They've never gotten a letter. Praise God. We can come in, break the contract, and that will wash away all your old issues completely.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So for those that are listening right now, what are their first steps? You mentioned that you have calls every single day, which is phenomenal. Right.
And that is the title of this message. It's supposed to be an introduction to the federal income tax and what you can do about it. And we'll have, our plan is at least put forth 7 of these, right? Francine will cover a different topic.
Yes.
And if there's more, which there's so many more, but we'll at least do 7 and give you the bullet points. For this one, we want to say there is a remedy, okay? First step is to realize if you file that contract. Now, again, this is being recorded on March 5th. April 15th is only 40 days away. And if you go ahead and file that, now you actually owe 2025 taxes. Just because they've either taken money out of your check, you got a W-2 job, you received 1099s, you got business income, K1s, doesn't matter. You sold a house, doesn't matter. You sold stock, doesn't matter. Crypto, doesn't matter. No matter what was reported to you in the year 2025, which would have netted you getting a W-2 in January, 1099s in January. Those are all documents that they're hoping, not hoping, and there's not a they. I don't want to make it look like I'm not going to personify. It's just an automated system. But the system already assumes, like you do, you take those forms to the tax guy. And he kind of does line A plus line B. And like, oh, that's complicated. I can't do that. And you hand him those documents. Even then, you don't owe it yet. Okay, he can actually have it put together. And hey, you got to come in and sign. As soon as you sign it and file it, then you owe the taxes. You do not owe 2025. Doesn't matter of the reporting going on. It isn't the reporting that causes you liability. It's the filing. So what can you do? You can first realize that's what's causing the liability. Now, ironically, on Thursdays, which is also module 4 in our teaching lesson of our 6-part lesson, we discuss knowing the law that protects you. If you knew the law was on your side, that you have rights, and that right is given by the Constitution, by George Washington and 38 founders, you cannot be taxed by the national government. It would be treason if anybody or any entity would cause you and force you to be taxed. That's why my daughters will never hear from the national government. They can't. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4 of the Constitution can't do it. However, April 15th, you can waive those rights and say, I'm going to just donate. Now, I have a lot of better causes I can say to donate to, and I'm sure you know a lot of better causes.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure the hearer knows a lot of better causes. You mean that's a donation? Yeah. Church of Satan or the IRS? A tough call. I don't know. Where do you want to go? Not sure. But there are better ways,
Yes.
And so when you know that is what's causing liability, I think the Spirit of God will show you, hey, I can't do that. But the remedy is we can help you. You will file an affidavit that breaks that contract. It now shifts the burden to the IRS. They have 30 days to respond to your contract. In the same way, when you get a letter, you have to respond to them in 30 days. The same thing, you're in a trust relationship, and you are kicking them off as beneficiary of that trust. They've been latching on to your trust, your Social Security trust, based on your own admission and your own giving them that position through your continual filing. And now you're saying, I don't work for the federal government. And by the way, you're not the beneficiary. I am. And they have to. They must cease all collection activity.
So you mentioned the birth certificate and the trust. Is that what a lot of people say, the Sesta QV trust? Is that what that is?
Oh, it sure is. Yeah. And some people call it straw man. I'm okay with any of those terms. But in reality, it's a legal. See, this is a game of legal fiction, all of it. And if you don't think it is, maybe someone goes, what does he mean legal fiction? Here's what I mean. Gold and silver is real money. I think everybody would agree. Yeah. You know why? Because it's physical and it has intrinsic value. It's not just a piece of paper. Okay.
Right.
It's not a credit. Well, I just paid for my gas with a credit card. That's a legal fiction. It's all fiction. It's driven off of a Social Security number or an EIN number. This is all legal fiction. Now, if you don't think it is, take a piece of silver and try to buy a couple gallons of gas at the gas station with it. Just go to the counter. Yep, I'm paying for my gas. Here's some silver. Yeah, we can't take silver. Exactly. Credit card, fiction. These dollar bills are fiction because it's all driven from 9-digit numbers. Everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the deception. I mean, oh my gosh.
Once you hand over that legal fiction to the IRS and allow them to collect the spoils of what was reported in a January 1st to December 31st accounting, this should strip all fear away because all that's happening is this is a game of accounting. Now you're learning the rules. Like, Francine, I grew up liking baseball and football. I looked at all those sports. And then one day I'm like, what is going on there? Like, what's happening in England? That looks like baseball, but not really. It's a big paddle. And, he's like hitting an underhand. I'm like, what is that? I mean, it kind of looks like, I don't know the rules. I don't know the law. What is this? It's cricket. I'm like, cricket? I thought those were like little bugs, crickets, See, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know what is this all about. And I never got enough interest. I guess that's like the federal income tax. I never got enough interest to actually search out what is cricket, because it didn't seem like very interesting. So how much more the federal income tax? You don't know the underpinning laws. You don't know the 16th Amendment gave the IRS jurisdiction. You don't know tax history. Then the tax guy is like, well, I'll just do your taxes. You got to come to me because I have the authority. Well, I guess so. And it's all legal fiction on top of it. And this is all fiction. So when you know how to play the game, my point is this. When you know how the game is played, and all you have to do is operate in a legal fiction, and unincorporated association has no liability. Well, that's the only thing I've been operating in since 2009. And to finish my story, I ran over $15 million to these associations. Since 2009, I've had zero personal tax liability. I've had not a dollar reported to my Social Security number. And I'm a ghost in commerce. Me, not me, my legal fiction, my Social Security number trust.
Wow. Woo. Too, and I know that this topic is very controversial. I mean, some people will believe it, some won't. But for those that are listening right now, where do they need to go, to tap into this? And again, what are the first steps? Do they start tapping into your weekly calls?
I think so. I really do. I think when somebody knows there's a community, a family that cares about them, that will pour their life, like I'm most proud of our reviews that say, boy, they get quick service. This isn't just a hope somebody replies to my email. Maybe I'll have to get an appointment. No, we're live. You know where I'm at 6 days a week. We answer your questions, and then you hear other people asking the same questions. And it's really about learning this from the proper perspective. It's so simple. Like, this is like kindergarten level. Like, look, don't use that number. Use this number. Not your Social Security number. Use your association number. And by the way, one more thing. Don't forget, break your contract with the IRS. Yes. But it's the misunderstanding of all these other things. It's like, I feel like we're in somebody's brain and we're untangling a giant knotted ball of yarn. And no. Let them hang on. No, we're going to straighten that one out and straighten that one out. Yeah, it's human psychology. They're all pretty much the same questions. 80% of the questions cover about 10 to 15 topics, and they'll hear the same questions and they go, oh, okay, this is making sense, right? Right, exactly. So, would they go to this site right here then to find out more information? Oh yes, right there. It's right there, btaxfree.net. Put /Francine M. Yes, that is the best link, and that way we know that you came in through Francine's show. We know how to identify that. And that's a long one. That tiny URL would be easier to give. That is a long one. I tried to. It'd be easier to remember to do btaxfree.net /Francine M. You know why it's also important? You get a discount by coming in through that link. Okay. And so we do. Yeah, you might laugh at this, Francine. I'm not sure, where your income comes from, but we now have 11 people that are with us and helping on a full-time basis. I had one person go in. You're saying, because we do Bible studies at the end of the week regarding biblical covenants, the most important topic of all, your inheritance is on the line. We don't know what inheritance means. We've been taught heaven, hell. Anyway, different subject. But we had somebody hear about that and they go, if you're a Christian, you should be doing this for free. The first thing I said is, you know what? Let's hire that person. You're our first hire. Come on in. Okay, we need 40 hours a week from you for free. All right. I bet they changed their tune, right? Yeah. I said, then we'll just keep hiring free people. And you know what free people will give you? They can't work for free because everybody needs to do something. Now, our cost is so razor thin down. I mean, people spend $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 on trusts, all kinds of other things. They'll pay the tax guy $15,000 to solve their tax issue. Yeah. We're talking about never, ever. We're talking about wiping April 15th off your calendar. This isn't like a legal loophole or strategy, like hire the attorney, see what his fees are. And they're just going to give you some kind of theory, but you're still filing returns, paying taxes. You're literally never, ever dealing with April 15th again. So on that note, though, make sure that you put in Francine M on the end of betaxfree.net. So we know you came in through Francine's show.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us before we head off, what are they going to learn? I mean, from being on your calls, not only trust, private trust, without an EIN number being associated to the government, but being set free from that as well. So on these calls, you touch base on like what subjects, because I know I'm just going to throw this out because you and I are going to tap into our series here. So next week, we're going to talk about the extremely limited jurisdiction of the IRS. Okay,
Yes.
guys. So this is going to be a continued series because people really need to know about this. Then it sounds too good to be true. How many times have we, oh, this cannot be true. Okay, you're in deception, right? A nation of voluntary taxpayers, the conspiracy of the 16th Amendment. Then we'll touch on the U.S. Constitution that protects you and I, okay, from being taxed from the District of Columbia. Come on now.
Yep.
Also trusting the licensed guys to help you. Oh my heavens. We were in that bondage too.
Yep.
Fear of taxation, a prison run by the inmates. Okay. A lot of people have that. And again, that's, fear, false evidence appearing real because they keep on shoving it down your throat. Right. And then, of course, doing Google searches on taxation and court ceases and unraveling the twisted definition. So this is just the beginning, guys. So every week we're going to tap into that. Our hopes is that you will go ahead, click on that link, betaxfree.net/Francine M. And then you get that discount code, which is FFOSD1000, like 1,000 fold back to you. Okay. According to Deuteronomy 1:11. And so this is powerful stuff, guys, getting on the calls, getting your questions answered.
Yeah, please make your audience know we don't want anything at all from them. We do provide a service. We are happy to provide this service. We are more happy that you would just come on in, start hearing the message. We do a short teaching every day, 6 days a week. And then you're going to really, really learn a lot from the question and answer sessions. We're uniting our republic by, maybe you live in Maine, maybe you live in Colorado or Kansas. We have people from all over the republic with all different vantage points. They're asking questions. We're all learning and they're all getting victory. So when your knowledge increases, then your faith will then increase as well. The fear will go away. And sure enough, we're there to catch you. We're there to help you. And we do have a service to provide the proper documentation to 100% eliminate income tax liability. But don't think there's any obligation. So you do want to come in through that code so we can identify you. But please, at the top of the page, it's going to say join one of our daily 10 a.m. calls. Feel free to come in anytime.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I love that. Guys, I mean, the calls tap into that. It is without any obligation. You have nothing to lose and all to gain. Come on now. So it's so, so powerful. It's time to be set free from the bondage of the government. A lot of people don't understand the Bill of Rights, right? We were supposed to stand up to this tyrannical government, right? And so many have just been sitting back, allowing them to do what they want to do, filling their pockets. But now it is time to stand up. So I'm just so excited that you all were here with me today with Kurt and to learn more about what's really going on behind the scenes. So, whether you agree or disagree with the argument surrounding the federal income tax, is this for certain? What we want to make sure is that you're understanding the law, okay, and the responsibility, and that you don't have an obligation to do this. Okay, guys, they've just been pumping it over and over and over again. So we encourage everyone that's watching right now to do your research, and the research is without obligation of getting on these calls every day, okay, and learning about the traps that the enemy has put us in, because he does come to steal, kill, and destroy, but God has come to give us life and life abundantly. So, the whole goal is not simply to question the system that we're in, but it's to become informed, responsible, and most of all, empowered. So I want to thank you, the audience, for listening today. And I want to thank you for just coming aboard and giving us the education that we so need, because the truth will set us free. And what does the Bible say too, Kurt, is that, people perish for a lack of knowledge. So we want to give them and empower them with the knowledge that they need to be set free in the world that we live in. Amen.
Amen. And just as a final point, it isn't about standing up to anybody. The devil was so ingenious at how he tricked us. He's got everybody volunteering in. All you have to understand is you gain your rights back when you volunteer out. You're not standing up to anything other than yourself.
Right.
You're the only one that's going to be the one you're battling with, because this is all truth. I assure you, you sit in enough of these meetings, you'll understand the power's right there. All you have to do is volunteer your way out.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Again, guys, just tap on the site. I'll also have the link below, and all you have to do is just easy click on that. If you want, you can take a snapshot of what's scrolling on the bottom. Yeah, that tiny URL is not tiny, it's huge. So just go to betaxfree.net/Francine M. Your discount code is FFOSD 1000. Remember Deuteronomy 111, 1000 fold, and that's what you'll get back from this. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Kurt. Bless you, man of God, for stepping out and setting us free through the wisdom that God has given you.
Bless you too, and the whole audience. Thank you guys for your time, and really look forward to serving you guys with just simply information.
Amen. Awesome. Good night, everyone. Thanks again for joining us on Upfront in the Prophetic.